babes, my name is Chasity.
And my name's Hannah.
Welcome back to Bookish Babes. Today we will be doing a dual review. Before I go any further, I just want to tell you this is a huge spoiler alert. So if you plan on reading Verity by Colleen Hoover, just skip this video because
come back
super
later.
spoilers.
Uh-huh.
Super spoilers.
I promise you're gonna finish the book in I finished it in less than 24 hours, and I think you did the same thing.
I did. And if you do read it, we definitely want to know your thoughts.
Yes, so before you leave, it's a great book. You should read it. Read it and then come back to this video.
Exactly.
All right, now that you hopefully clicked off. We're reviewing Verity. I don't know that we said that.
Dual review.
A dual review.
A dual review.
I have so many thoughts. The thoughts are there.
So many thoughts.
So let's just start by describing this book, this roller coaster of a novel. So this starts out from the point of view of a girl named Lowen, who's an aspiring author whose mom has recently died, and she was caring for her before she died, and so she was not working. She was under the impression that her mom was going to leave her some money, so it wouldn't be a problem that she wasn't working. But she didn't, so now she is getting evicted from her apartment because she has no money and she hasn't worked in months, and she is approached by her publisher for a job offer to ghostwrite the last few novels in a very popular series by an author named Verity, because she has recently been in a very bad accident and is brain dead.
I don't think she knows that she's brain dead at the beginning. She's just unable to write.
Yeah,
that's what she was told in the beginning.
Yeah, and she's approached by Verity's husband, actually, and he says that Verity has read some of her work and really appreciated it, and so there's nobody out there that Verity would want more than Lowen herself. So
then Lowen actually moves in to Verity's home.
Yeah,
it's only supposed to be for like a week or two so that she can clean out the office,
right,
see if she has any kind of outlines, plot, what's going on with the next 3 books. She also wants to, read the previous one.
Right. She's never even read the series. She obviously knows who Verity is. Verity's a very famous author. But, so she moves there to kind of go through immediately after getting the job offer, to go through all of Verity's notes. And very quickly, Jeremy, Verity's husband, finds out that Lowen has been evicted from her apartment and doesn't have any money for a new apartment. So he's like, no problem, just stay until the advance for these novels hits your bank account. And so that's where it all begins.
That's where the madness starts.
First of all, can we talk about the fact that this girl meets this man and then the next day is like, sure, I'll come live with you. Can I come Sunday? What do you mean? You don't know him. You don't know him. You don't know his family.
No.
You don't know his story.
Super sketchy.
Yes, but she doesn't really have another option.
She doesn't. She's kind of desperate.
Yeah.
And the opportunity of writing these books is such a huge opportunity for her that she really can't pass it up.
Yeah, because I think I said that she ghostwrites them, but in reality, she's a co-author. They're going to publish her as a co-author.
But a pen name.
Yes.
By a pen name.
But even then, she could continue to write off of that pen name after this fame, because these books are already huge. So, she moves there and very quickly realizes that there's just so much that has happened in their life before she got there. Jeremy and Verity had recently lost both of their daughters in 2 separate instances and have 1 remaining son. And
the daughters are twins, by the way.
Yes, but they didn't die at the same time.
No, they did not.
And can we talk about the fact that nothing is creepier than a small child who has clearly seen some shit?
Did you see that? That's how I feel about Crew, okay?
So she pulls up to this house and Crew waltzes out and is like, who are you? And he's just staring in her window. And she's like, what the hell?
Shows up out of nowhere. He is such a creepy little kid.
Because when she gets there, she knows that because Jeremy tells her that he had a daughter who died. She doesn't realize that Jeremy and Verity have any surviving children. So she looks over and here's this strange child staring in her window. She's
her
like, what
car
the hell?
window.
Yeah.
Oh god.
And then he doesn't even like say anything to her as
No.
he walks in the door and just like shuts the door in her face.
Yes, he did. He shut the door in her face.
Yeah.
I forgot that.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, this book got to me.
I have
It got to
never
me.
read a novel. Like, don't read this while you're sitting in your bed and it's dark in your room.
for
I
real.
made that mistake.
No,
and
don't do it.
It was horrifying.
I felt somebody, like, I was looking over my shoulder.
Yeah.
I got up to go to the restroom and I was looking over my shoulder because I was so freaking spooked.
I had to put the book down and immediately like turn on my light in my room. Like I couldn't sit there in the dark and read this book. It was terrifying.
And here's the thing, guys. We're not talking like paranormal. We're not talking like there's ghosts in this.
No,
book.
like this is like real life.
This is like insanity. Like
this is
bad people.
This is the kind of psychological thriller that really Colleen does such a good job at making you think that every single character in this book is crazy. Every single one.
Every single one.
And you don't really know whose point of view to trust, and you don't know exactly. You can feel that there's a twist coming, but you don't know. There's no way to guess. There's really
it's like
no
a
way to
maze.
guess.
A maze that there's no way out of.
Yeah.
Because every time you think you're figuring something out, it flips on you.
So basically, while Lowen is going through the notes for these novels, she ends up finding something that she wasn't supposed to find, which was basically the
autobiography.
Yeah, a manuscript for Verity's autobiography where she talks about the events that truly led up to the death of her daughters. And it's like looking into the mind of a true psychopath.
Sociopath.
Yeah.
For sure. I had such a hard time reading the parts that were the manuscript.
Yeah.
Although, like, I couldn't stop. But some of the parts just, like...
It was disgusting. It's like child abuse in its full form. She would lock the door. You know, her husband would leave for work and she would lock the baby inside of a room and turn off the baby monitor and just walk away and like...
She'd put in earplugs and go back to sleep.
And let the babies cry all day.
But it didn't even start there. She tried to abort the twins with a coat hanger.
So then one of them comes out with a giant scar on their face because of the trauma.
I'm shouting.
Because that's what this book does to you. It's unfathomable that someone could do this to their children.
It's also unfathomable that Jeremy never knew.
No.
Because she would get up. Like I said, she went back to bed. She would get up and she would feed them and change them and do everything she needed to, and they'd be happy babies by the time he walked in the door.
Yeah. And he would come home and it would he would be under the impression that all day she's been taking care of these babies and doting over them, and when in reality they've been neglected all day. She hasn't checked on them all day and they're newborns.
And here's the reason why she resents these children so much, is because she does not want to share her husband.
Isn't that the most ridiculous thing? She loved being pregnant with them because he had never paid more attention to her than when she was pregnant with these twins. But then once she has them and she realizes that she has to share his attention, it's a whole different situation, and she doesn't connect with them. In fact, she despises them. And there's even a scene of her going into the room, and she does kind of eventually, I don't want to say she connects with one of them, but she has I guess a special place inside of her for one of the babies. And she has like this crazy dream that the other child is going to grow up and try to kill the one that she likes.
Was it Harper? Harper was the one that she never connected with.
It was the one with the scar on her face that she ended up connecting with.
Chasity.
Is that her name?
I think so.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure it was her.
Yeah.
And I think it was Harper that she never connected with.
So then she goes over, so then if that's the case, she goes over to Harper's crib and shoves a finger down her throat and tries to kill her by making her choke on her own vomit. Her baby.
Newborn.
Because she's convinced that this baby's gonna grow up and try to kill Chastain. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. It's unlike anything I've ever read.
It's gotta be the most disgusting and vile form of child abuse that I've ever heard of.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely, because it's one thing after another.
Because
that
it's
she
so
doesn't
malicious.
succeed.
It's so malicious. She's doing this out of pure hatred. She does not love this child.
There's no reasoning besides the fact that she's selfish.
Yeah. Besides the fact that she wishes that this child just didn't exist anymore.
She just wishes she could have everything.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, it's just unreal.
Yeah.
I just can't even. This book, I had to just keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I had to just keep going because
you had to kind of see how this was all gonna play out. So as she's reading this manuscript and she's realizing the hatred that Verity had for these children, but she hasn't yet gotten to the point where her daughters have died.
because it comes in steps.
Correct.
You get like a chapter of the manuscript, and then it goes back
and then a
to
chapter
real time.
of Lowen, living in this home where Verity is holed up in a room, brain dead.
She's a nurse.
Yeah.
She's in a wheelchair. I mean, she doesn't move. It's.
But then there's this scene where Verity's nurse takes her outside in this wheelchair, and obviously at this point you're convinced that Verity can no longer, like, she's just not, there's no cognitive function at all. And then Lowen is inside of her office and she looks outside and Verity's just staring at her. And that was the part in the book where I was reading it and I literally I jumped. I've never in my life jumped from a book before, but the way that she describes it is just her turning around and just seeing this psycho woman staring in the window at her.
And she's the only one that has been reading the autobiography, so
Correct.
she knows things that Jeremy doesn't.
And she's debating whether or not she should tell Jeremy, because at this point her and Jeremy are frankly just kind of in a business relationship. Nothing weird has happened between them yet.
It's just
it's a mess.
Well, for me, it was like reading that stuff and knowing how horrible of this person she is.
Yeah.
And thinking, okay, well, she can't do anything anymore. What do I do about it? And then to be working on it and look up. Oh, God.
Yeah.
It's just...
And then all throughout this, Jeremy is still in there, like, kissing Verity's forehead every night and tucking her in and, asking the nurse, did she take her medicine? Did she eat? And
changing diapers.
Yeah, like, she's still taking good care of her.
Bathing
and
her.
So this girl is like, I don't know what to do because he's under the impression that his wife was this incredible person.
And on top of that, he's still mourning the loss of both of his daughters.
Yeah.
So she's just gonna deliver this news that your wife's a psycho.
Right. So then we kind of move on to the part in the book where it becomes apparent that either Lowen is crazy or Verity is lying. Because Lowen and Jeremy kind of start to connect a little bit. Mm-hmm. And there's a night where they're on the couch and some things happen. They kind of start smooching a little bit.
Just a little.
And Verity is just chilling, standing up, watching them from the top of the stairs.
Uh-huh. And Lowen sees her.
When I say I screeched, I was like, what the hell is this brain dead lady doing walking?
That was the part that I read. That, like, I had to get up and go to the restroom, and I was like,
No,
oh.
the part that I read is, so Lowen has this issue where she, like, sleepwalks, and when I say she sleepwalks.
Oh, yeah.
Like, she's gone. She's out. She has no recollection of what she's done.
She will unlock locks. She will get out.
Yeah. When she first moves in, she's like, Jeremy, like, is there, like, a lock on this door? Because, and you kind of think that maybe she's scared of Jeremy, as she should be. She doesn't know him. But it turns out she's just scared of herself because she had an incident when she was younger that she sleepwalked and, like, threw herself off of a ledge and, like, broke bones in her body. Like, it's crazy. She does all these crazy things when she's sleepwalking. There's this part where she sleepwalks from downstairs from her room and she wakes up in Verity's bed and Verity's just staring at her.
It's so scary.
And this is when I'm sitting in my bed, the lights are out, I'm, like, all tucked in, and I read that and I instantly, I'm convinced that somebody's watching me.
Yes,
I have to flip the light on.
That's what it does to you. That's what this book does to you. I've never had a book do that to me. I've had movies do that to me, but I've never
right, because
ever had
usually I
a book do
need that visual to be able to like have that same sort of you know, the oh my god, and where you jump, but it's insane. It's insane. This book is insane.
And it's amazing. I'll give her that. This writing was just phenomenal.
Who thought that the queen of contemporary romance could pull this one out of her? Like, it's crazy. Because this very much so does have like hints of romance in it.
Yeah, it does. It does.
It's a romantic psychological thriller. But
yeah, say that.
But above anything
how many books can you name that are that?
Yeah.
A romantic psychological thriller
it's
that
crazy.
I don't want to turn the lights off on.
Yeah. So then Crew. Can we talk about Crew?
Crew scares the hell out of me.
I almost kind of don't want to talk about Crew because once again, there's nothing more terrifying than like a deranged child.
And the thing is that like, to be fair, he's got some weirdness going on, some quirks, but then again, like he really did see a lot of stuff that
yeah,
like,
he's been through some things.
But then he starts to say things to Lois.
Like, he's like, oh, I drew that picture for my mom and we were talking about it. And
like, she said it was pretty.
Yeah.
The biggest things with Crew that got me, disturbed me, chilled me to the bone, was the knife scene. The knife scene.
So essentially, you just hear Crew, you don't, but Lowen hears Crew scream from the other room. So she runs over there and sees that he's cut his hand with a knife. He's in Verity's room and the knife is laying on the ground and Lowen runs in and is like, what happened? And he's like, I cut my hand with a knife. Mommy always tells me not to touch it.
But I did, because we're not a fool.
Mommy always tells me not to touch it.
What the hell is the knife doing in the room?
What do you mean mommy talked to you?
And seriously, Lowen takes him to the bathroom, then Jeremy comes up and they're getting him all cleaned up. She goes back into the bedroom to get the knife and it's gone.
And then that's when you're like, okay.
Game over.
This is what I mean when Colleen, for a long time I thought like the twist was going to be that Lowen was imagining all this, that Lowen was insane. Because
that would have been pretty insane.
Because Jeremy keeps saying throughout this entire novel that he has seen her brain scans. He's seen Verity's brain scans and he knows that there's no brain activity happening. Clearly. And that's one of the reasons why, actually, I talked in my February reading wrap-up about the fact that I knocked this down a star. I almost kind of want to rate it, instead of 4 out of 5 stars, I'm thinking I'm going to rate it 4.5 out of 5 stars because I did really enjoy it. But that's a huge plot hole for me because that was never really explained. Because clearly you didn't see these brain scans because she was faking it this entire time. Yet,
so there's two things I have two theories going for that one. One of them's a little bit harder to get than the other, but one, Jeremy could just be lying because he doesn't want to seem like an idiot.
Yeah.
That he hasn't done that. Because he'd never have a reason to suspect that his wife was faking it. Or the other one would be that Verity has a lot of money and a lot of influence, and she could have possibly paid somebody off to give her brain scans for somebody else.
And all of that is very viable, and that's not my problem. It's just that it's never explained.
Yeah, it's
really
not.
Kind of find out how he was tricked. So I just wish that was kind of explained also. Yeah. But anyway, all this goes down, and once shit kind of hits the fan, it kind of all happens very quickly.
Oh, it's like...
Yeah, so very quickly, Lowen realizes that Verity's faking, and Lowen manages to convince Jeremy that Verity's faking. And I think that when he finally started to believe it was that night. So basically because of Lowen's sleepwalking, he installed a lock on the outside of her door. Which, by the way, who lets a stranger install a lock on the outside of their bedroom door?
That made me so uncomfortable the entire time. I was always like, she's gonna have to crawl out the fucking window. Yeah. She's gonna get stuck.
Yeah, he's gonna set the house on fire or something. But, so...
But I also have a real big fear of being trapped somewhere, so, like, that just made me uneasy the entire time.
And then he also installs a lock on the outside of Verity's door, A, to give Lowen some peace of mind, because at this point she's already having her doubts, and B, to basically make it so that Lowen can't get in. It's harder for Lowen to get in the room if she sleepwalks again. So one night they're in the bedroom, they're doing some things that we're not going to speak about, and all of a sudden they get up and it's just the door's locked from the outside.
They're trapped. Guess what's to climb out a window? Saw
And
that
so
coming.
Lowen's like, did you lock Verity's door? And he's like, no, but like it's not possible. But then you can kind of tell that he kind of thinks it's possible because like, I don't remember if I locked her door. And clearly we're locked from the outside. And I don't think that crew would have
reached
been
it, or had the key,
or even just thought to lock the door, or that has been awake at all. Like he's probably been sleeping through the night. He's a kid. So yeah, he crawls out the window, unlocks whatever,
so
and
scary.
they go upstairs, and you think that you're gonna see some shit, and it turns out that it looks like she's just been sleeping the whole night. So there are points where Lowen is like screaming in Verity's face, like, you bitch, I know you're in there, I know what you're doing, I'm gonna convince Jeremy, like, you're gonna get caught. And Verity just completely deadpan, her eyes don't move, it's insane.
She's got to be a psycho, man. I mean I know she is,
yeah.
but how do you do that?
In the manuscript, it's also talked about the fact that Harper had a very bad peanut allergy, and it's known by the entire family, including the other twin.
Did you just say Harper?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, we screwed that up. It's Chastain that has the
oh yeah, okay. The one that Verity likes has a peanut allergy, and so the twins go to a sleepover, and the one that Verity likes ends up dead because she consumed a snack with peanuts in it.
Because the girls must have gotten up in the middle of the night.
Yeah, like you do at a sleepover, you go down to the kitchen and get a snack, and then she winds up dead.
Didn't realize that they had peanuts.
Yes, and Verity is convinced that Harper killed her. Like, absolutely convinced that Harper killed her. And so she comes up with this whole plot that she's going to drown Harper in the lake in the back of their house. So she takes Harper.
What was it? Was it a kayak?
Yeah, I think it's a kayak.
Tips it over.
She says, crew, hold your breath, and then she tips it over, and Harper can't swim well enough to save herself, and she drowns. And so she, of course, once Jeremy gets there and once the police get there, she acts like, oh, I couldn't save them both, I had to save crew, and then I went back to save Harper, but she was already gone and I couldn't get to her. And yeah, and that's kind of where,
and some stuff was said by crew kind of about this. I don't remember exactly the context, but I remember crew saying something about
that,
like,
she said to hold her breath.
She said to hold his breath. And then there was another thing that like mommy wasn't upset until Daddy
got there.
Until Daddy came.
So even
that's
crew said that.
Freaking weird.
So then you get to the end of the manuscript where she says she's going to just drive her car into a tree and kill herself because she knows that Jeremy's never going to love her, because now that crew said that, Jeremy's suspecting that there was some funny business happening and Verity did something to Harper. So
yeah, because she started to kind of lose it after Chastain died, because she was snapping on Harper and she wasn't able to control it as well around Jeremy. So.
And Jeremy's mourning the loss of Harper after Harper drowns, and it seems like Verity just kind of goes back to normal. So he definitely suspects it.
That's what it was in the manuscript. She kept talking about how long is this going to go on?
Yeah, how long is he going to mourn? And this is less than a month after he pulls his daughter's dead body out of a lake, and she's just like, how long is he going to mourn the death of this girl? It's disgusting.
Awful.
So Lowen finishes this manuscript and is like, well, so a little bit of technical difficulties, the camera died, but we're just kind of going to pick up where Lowen decides that Jeremy deserves to read this manuscript.
It's time.
Yes. So she brings Jeremy the manuscript, and you don't hear anything for a long time. And then you suddenly hear screaming and crashing, and she runs up there, and he's standing at the foot of her bed, like, Verity.
Screaming.
Yeah. He's like, I know you're in there, you crazy bitch, you're in there. Like, I think he literally says that. I think he literally calls her a crazy bitch.
Yeah.
And then finally,
he goes postal.
This is like the spookiest part, is that she literally goes from pretending to sleep and then looks him in the fucking eye.
You're like, you know, the entire fucking time you're like,
you know
this
she's
bitch
faking
is
it.
there.
It's very obvious about halfway through the book that she's faking it.
Prepares you for this fucking scene. For her to just...
Where she's like, I had to do this, Jeremy. I think that's literally the quote that she says.
Right. Wait,
and we're like...
had to do what? You did... Excuse me, what?
You had to kill your child and then pretend that you were brain dead? What do you mean?
Because he was going to leave her and take Crew with him. That was her biggest fucking fear. Excuse him, what? I don't care if that, like...
So you kill your daughter? I don't understand.
No, you killed your daughter and now you've been pretending to be brain dead. Your husband's been spoon feeding you, changing your diaper.
How have you been faking this for months?
Excuse me? The self-control. The self-control, because you think back, Lowen was screaming in her face.
And she just deadpan, eyes straight forward, like it's like she didn't even hear her. And that's when you kind of think like, oh, maybe Lowen's just crazy.
Right, until Jeremy faces her and boom.
So Lowen says, let's literally take a page from her book. And this was so shocking. When I tell you guys, I was so shocked. She was like, shove your finger down her throat. Make her choke on her own vomit, kill her.
I get chills I just got chills right now. Like, it's...
So Lowen leaves the room and can hear some struggling. And then can hear no more struggling. And he walks out and he's like, all right, so when somebody shows up tomorrow, we're going to say that she's brain dead and she has been brain dead, or not. I don't want to say brain dead because she's been like awake. I keep saying brain dead. That's not the case. She can't walk. She can't, use the bathroom. She can't speak. She can't like look you in the eye. She can't look at you. She has to like be spoon fed, like kid baby food basically, or like fed like intravenously. So it's
I'm thinking about that, like eating baby food, not chewing.
She was so dedicated to this lie.
That's insane to me.
And to like shit your pants and have somebody change your diaper multiple times a day.
Right, like that's just insane to me.
Yeah.
And on top of that, I was so shocked that Lowen, after thinking about all these, like, why didn't they go to the police?
No, they
with
killed
that
her.
manuscript. They killed her.
Yeah.
I am so shocked at that because honestly, it was really a case of two wrongs don't make a right.
Yeah, you can't just murder this girl.
Like, what?
Like, so then he walks out and he's like, all right, so he basically says, here's the story. She has no cognitive ability. She just threw up. She just choked on her vomit in the middle of the night. And that's what happened. And so when police and ambulance, everything shows up the next day, they believe it.
Yeah, because they waited until the nurse came the next morning.
Yeah. And the nurse finds her. And nothing seems like, which by the way, that nurse had to have known something was up.
I know that nurse knew something.
But it doesn't seem like, the nurse doesn't make it seem like, it's like, oh, not like, oh, she's dead, but like, she was like, everybody just believes the story. They have no reason not to believe that she just choked on her own vomit because she can't even feed herself. So, yeah, and then that's kind of where we leave off, and then we jump forward. I think it's 7 months, 6-7 months later.
So, because Lowen is pregnant.
Very pregnant, about to deliver, in fact.
And they don't want to have the baby in that house.
No,
so they're moving.
She's obviously pregnant with Jeremy's baby. And they go back into that house where all that happened. And they're just basically gathering the last of Crew and Jeremy's stuff that they want to take. And she remembers, I don't know if she remembers Crew talking about it or if Crew says something about the fact that she kept his drawings in the floorboard. So she lifts up one of the floorboards and she finds a whole bunch of stuff. She finds a lot of his drawings and the knife and a letter where she basically says that The manuscript was a lie. It was her way of...
It was a writing exercise.
It was her way of processing the death of her daughters, and...
A writing exercise.
That Jeremy was abusive, and Jeremy found the manuscript and
thought it was true.
So he tried to kill her by putting her in the car and crashing into a tree, and she woke up and she pretended that she had no cognitive ability so that she could find the manuscript and, you know, get rid of it so that Jeremy couldn't bring it to the police, and then she was going to take crew and she was going to leave. Here's my problem with that is, in the first question that Chasity asked me when I finished the book was, are you team manuscript or team letter? And I'm 100% team manuscript, and you are too.
Same.
Yeah.
I don't see how there's so many things wrong with the letter.
Yes, there's just no way, and here's why. Because if he had strapped her into, or he didn't strap her in, that's the thing, is he didn't buckle her in, but he put her in the passenger seat. When she crashed, she went through the windshield. They would be able to see that she went through the passenger windshield and not the driver's windshield. So they automatically would have known that somebody else was driving the car. But they were under the impression that she was driving the car.
Right.
And also, the reaction that Jeremy had when he read the manuscript that night after Lowen gave it to him, I don't really think there's any way that he had read the manuscript before.
No.
It's not that I don't think he has it in it to kill Verity, because obviously he did kill Verity. But,
I also don't see why he would go through months and months and months of feeding her and changing her and bathing her.
Why would he not have done that months ago?
Why wouldn't he just not care if that's really what had happened and he had read the manuscript already? And a writing exercise, I'm sorry. I don't care what kind of writing exercise or what kind of new genre you're trying to branch into. There's no way you wrote that kind of stuff about your own kids.
Less than a month after, losing both of your children, you sit there and you write about how you didn't connect with them and how you tried to kill one of them and that you wished you had aborted them with a coat hanger. There's no way.
There's no way.
There's no way that any parent processes the death of their child in that way. And I'm sorry, and I think everybody processes things differently, but it's just not possible.
But that one's just no. You would not be in that fragile state of mind and come up with all those awful things
to do to your child that you just lost.
No.
So,
team manuscript for sure.
Yes, and we have another coworker who read it who is once again absolutely team manuscript. Mm-hmm. So, let's talk about our ratings.
Okay.
What would you rate? Verity?
I definitely do rate it a 5.
Yeah.
5 out of 5.
I kind of stick by, I don't stick by the 4 out of 5. I stick by the 4.5 out of 5 only because of that big plot hole with me with the issue with the brain scans. Because he claims up and down that he saw these brain scans and there's no way that she could be functioning enough to look somebody in the eye, yet she is. So
and I totally get that. Yeah. Like, I also agree that was something
you
that
just
was
like
not
that
explained.
It's left up to interpretation.
I do.
I don't like that it's left up to interpretation.
Because I really kind of just
I'm a Virgo.
I just kind of brushed it off as, okay, well, he didn't and he feels stupid because he should have.
And I'm sure that's something that, I'm sure Colleen purposely did that. I don't think that was intention. Like, I don't think it was accidentally left out. Like, I think she intentionally left it out. It's just a personal thing. Also, another personal thing, I made the mistake of reading reviews before I read it. And
I didn't even read the synopsis.
Yeah, see, all of these, because she read it the day that it came out. Mm-hmm. I just read it last month. It came out in January, didn't it? Or December? December. So, and I read it in early February. So, there were lots of reviews, and everybody said, oh my god, that ending was insane. I couldn't see that coming from a mile away. It was like the ending of the century. And like, so I was expecting something like earth-shattering. Like, I'm expecting like Lowen doesn't even exist and this is all a book. You know what I mean? Like, this is, right. But it was just that she was lying in the manuscript. And I'm not saying I expected that ending, because I didn't. And I think that had I not read reviews, I would have been more like, oh my god. But I did read reviews, so I was thinking that it was going to be something, I was thinking it was going to be a little bit more than what it was, which, once again, is totally my fault. It's not that the ending was bad.
It shocked the hell out of me.
Yes, because you didn't read any reviews.
I didn't read anything. I wasn't expecting something earth-shattering at the end.
I was expecting that, like, you know, like I said, I thought Lowen was crazy. I thought Lowen was going to be imagining this whole thing.
Yeah.
Or this was all going to be just a figment of Verity's imagination. This was going to be like Verity's book that she wrote or something. Or
that would have been interesting.
Yeah.
It would have been really interesting.
But it just, so for me, it just kind of fell short. But once again, it's totally my own fault. I hyped it up in my head and I made the mistake of reading reviews, which you shouldn't do for a psychological thriller, and I stand by that. You know, I look at the star rating before I read a book, and I'm no longer gonna.
The synopsis is usually something I'll read,
but I'm not gonna read people's typed out reviews until I finish the book now.
And now I don't even really look at the star rating anymore. I just kind of read a synopsis.
See, I do because I don't want to waste my time. And this had Verity had a very good rating, and it should. It's a good book. I just had to knock down like half of a star just because of the plot hole and because of my own personal taste.
Yeah, absolutely. That's a solid 5 out of 5 for me.
Yeah.
Because, man, never has a book before made me look over my shoulder. So
that's true.
Like, honestly, she should just get it for that alone. Because I've read a lot of freaky stuff.
I don't want to say it's the first psychological thriller that I've read, because it's definitely not, but it's the first of this kind that I've read where I didn't exactly know who to trust. Usually, you know, like when I think psychological thriller before, I thought like You by Caroline Kepnes. You already know, there's no secret. You knew that Joe was who he was. You were never like, oh my God, should I trust him? It's like, no, you're not supposed to trust him. I genuinely didn't know who to trust in this book. And I really appreciated that.
Yeah. So overall, Verity is amazing book.
Really recommend it.
Really recommend it.
I don't know why we're recommending it now because if you watch this
everything.
review, you already know what happened. But
still, if you did not read this book and you just watched this review, you need to read this book.
Yeah, I mean, I promise it's still going to be worth your time.
For sure. Because I'm sure there's a bunch of things
and also
that we
you
didn't
ignored what we said.
Yeah.
If you watched this video.
For real. We told you to leave.
Yeah.
Well, that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. I really would like to know who is Team Manuscript and who is Team Letters, so please let us know below in the comments. And make sure to hit that thumbs up button, subscribe, and share. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.